transportation. The end result will be that you will end up with less revenue due to the decrease in ridership rather than more. I should not have to spell this out, as I would hope the members of the board would have enough brains to figure this out. Fix the trains and buses first, and then ask for more money. Fixing the switches and signal systems. Let's get to work more effectively. I believe you have the manpower to get this done. Show the writing public that the system is getting better, then you will have a leg to stand on when asking for more money. And next year is not going to be a good year to ask for money, because don't forget the L train is going to be shutting down, and service is definitely not going to get better. You are going to have to lose money in the short term to make money in the long term. And finally, please, don't rubber stamp this fare hike as you have done in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. X, followed by Gilbert Feliciano. I also want to recognize that we've been joined by MTA Chief Development Officer Jana Lieber.
I could be at home watching SmackDown, but instead I'm babysitting you. And as I said before, the MTA doesn't stand for Metropolitan Transportation Authority. It stands for money thrown away, okay? We have the MTA Executive Director who looks and behaves like Wallenstein from Walker Back Carter. If you combine it with Polly Triber, you get the fabulous Mullah Mayor. They're both two peas in a pot. They're both stuck on stupid, okay? This idiot who advertises public hearings in an untimely manner. Between November 1 and 15, I logged to your website at least once. I checked for public hearings at least once, and I saw nothing. November 16, I see the information on your website, but I don't see it on the home page. November 18, I see it on your home page. Are you serious? Are you stuck on stupid? Are you confused? Are you stuck on stupid? Or are you just mentally retarded? Hello? If you want us to testify your public hearings, you need to advertise it in a timely manner. Hello? You can't advertise it at the 11th hour. Okay? You can't half-step like Big Daddy Kane and then say you're down with OPP like Knowing by Nature. And you can't say you're hardcore like ECW. Either get it together or throw them to town like the Golden Bell All-Scholar, which we did for Bob Backlund many years ago. Just throw them to town. If you can't get it right, if you can't advertise in an untimely manner, you shouldn't hold them. There's no excuse for that. And I want you to know the current MTA Executive Director already missed 2 public hearings and also 5 town meetings with Andy Byford. I'm surprised she's here tonight. But I guess she's here because this is regarding the fare and toll increases, and she wants to get her face glued to the camera. Maybe that's why she's here. I'm surprised she's here. Because in the past, when she missed the other 2 public hearings, I asked, did she know her because she knew I was testifying, and she didn't want to make it like Peter Calcutt and the devil's disciple, who happened to be one of my first challengers.
Sir, if you could please wrap up your remarks.
Okay, so to the MTA Executive Director, you need to advertise this public hearings in a timely manner, and you need a show, not no show, unless you're pregnant.
Next public speaker is Gilbert Feliciano, followed by Alexis Stewart. Mrs. Stewart.
Hello, my name is Alexis Stewart, and I'm from Educational Video Center. And right now we're working on a documentary about does the MTA try to disenfranchise low-income communities and communities of color. So we have a couple questions. Will the fare increase fund ramps and elevators? Well, you can't answer the questions? Okay. Will the Is the MTA spending more money on Wi-Fi and LCD screens instead of necessary repairs for the MTA? And that is it.
Thank you. David Vassar, followed by Anthony Cavallari.
Hi, everybody. My name's David Vassar. I live in Morningside Heights. Really enjoyed my ride down here, coming across 26th Street in particular. It's very rewarding, thanks to Community Boards 4, 5, and 6 for approving that. It makes it possible to get here safely. So thank you for that and all the protected bike lanes out there. It's keeping me young, cycling is, but the streets are so congested these days. It's really worse than ever. It's a danger to cyclists and pedestrians and to other motorists. And that's not to speak of the pollution that's caused by all the motoring, a lot of which is basically idling at times because it's so packed, it's so congested that folks can't move. I'm thinking of the nor'easter recently. Remember the nor'easter, anyone? In my neck of the woods, Upper Amsterdam Avenue, I looked down from my 15th floor apartment at about 11 p.m. and it was still backed up. Folks still were not moving or inching along. There were, during the time I was looking out my window, just feeling bad for everyone I was looking at, I think about 4 ambulances during that time were trying to get through, just inching along, sirens blaring, and just not getting anywhere. So there's so many reasons for congestion pricing. Encourage people to get out of their cars by improving transit. We've got to expand and refine and fix our transit system, and the proceeds from congestion pricing can help that along. It's, I think, close to $1 billion a year can be had from this, so let's do it. And let's keep building the protected bike lanes, too. It's the only way to cycle around town safely. I think cycling and a good transit complement each other as far as the health and the environmental integrity of our city is concerned. So let's go for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony Cavallera, followed by Deborah Baldwin, followed by Allen Ginsberg.
Okay, my name is Anthony Cavallera, Queens. I'm 67 years old. I've been driving the subway and buses all my life, all 67 years. I have seen the deterioration of the system ever since the first illegal strike on the Lindsay, and it continues until today. No doubt this system needs money. But before you ask for one more penny, prove to us how the money is being spent that you're getting. We, the people, are demanding an independent, forensic, fiscal audit, not done by the state, not done by the board, by the independent accounting firm, to prove to us that you really need the money, that you don't really have the money already, and you're not just spending it right. Now, and when the fiscal audit is completed, the forensic fiscal audit, then it's up to Albany to implement the reforms and recommendations. I see the Long Island Railroad already documented the corruption in the Long Island Railroad tunnels going into Grand Central Station. I see the corruption every day. 5 guys to change 1 light bulb on the number 7 platform at Grand Central. How many times I passed by a platform where a station being rehabilitated, you got 18 guys at the platform, 15 of them are playing on their telephones. Enough is enough. They look like a duck, quack like a duck, sound like a duck is a duck. It's corruption, pure and simple corruption, and we're paying for it. So, all I'm saying, prove to us. That's it.
Thank you. Deborah Baldwin, followed by Allen Ginsberg.
Good afternoon. I'm Deborah Baldwin. I'm here on behalf of Riders Alliance, and I'm here on behalf of myself. I live in Murray Hill. I'm like countless New Yorkers dependent on the transit system, in particular the buses. I don't need to tell you stories about what it's like to stand on a corner waiting for a bus, to get to a doctor's appointment on time, to get to where you need to go. You guys take the bus, right? I'm sure you do. So you know what it's like. You're standing there, the sun is setting, the temperature's dropping, you're waiting to see if a bus is going to come, or maybe a gaggle of buses will come. I understand the need for money. I understand the system needs resources, but when I look around the bus and see who's depending on the bus to get where they need to go, I wonder, why are we balancing the books on the backs of these working New Yorkers? Can we find another way to do this? And can we improve service before we time a fare increase request? Albany should look into this. Albany should pay for it. Albany should help us out. Until then, improve service and put off the fare hike. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan Ginsberg, followed by Juan Castillo, followed by Sally Stroman.
Good evening. My name is Alan Ginsberg. I am from the Riders Alliance, and I also live in Manhattan, but I'm not one of those Manhattans with a six-figure income. I'm here today to speak out against the fare increase, although frankly, I think that it's rubber stamped and it'll just go along with it automatically. However, I'll just say this. For once, stop putting the burden on the average rider, who many of them are working-class New Yorkers desperate to survive. Instead, have the guts and the courage to speak out against Governor Cuomo and the state legislature and tell them to fully fund our system that is in a state of collapse and, frankly, go into hell. Thank you.
Juan Castillo, followed by Sally Stroman, followed by Emery Hajdu.
As you can see, I didn't get a chance to prepare a speech of my own. So, anyway, as you can see, I'm a disabled customer, and my mother and older brother are also disabled customers, and we always pay our fare $1.35, and. Anyway, we don't want to pay a lot more than what the fare has currently. We basically had enough of the fare hikes, as we should be, instead of spending money on raising fares and tolls on all metro cards, bridges, and tolls on bridges and buses. We should spend money on whatever it is that's necessary, like building ramps on subway stations that have elevators that tend to break down very easily. Thank you. Also, we should spend money on improving subway and bus service, like adding new select bus service lines to some the 5 boroughs. Also, we should take the opportunity to invest on making improvements to Staten Island limited stop buses, which I'll have to bring that up another time. Also, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Sally Stroman, followed by Emery Hajdu.
Good evening. My name is Sally Stroman. I live on the Lower East Side. I am opposed against the fare increase. Not that we don't need it, but there's no improvement in our service. I live on a F-line train station that stops on East Broadway. When the train comes in from Manhattan going to Brooklyn and vice versa, plus I have the M22 bus that stops on Madison and Rucker Street. When all three comes into, at that particular stop, the bus stop and the 2 train station, there's no way that you can go up and down the stairwells on the Madison Street side. At the other end of the subway tunnel, there are 3 entrances at East Broadway, which there is an escalator. There's no escalator on the Madison Street side. And I feel that there is a safety issue, being that mothers, elderly people have to walk down the stairs On the Madison Street side, buses are crowded. There are not enough M22 buses. At certain points of the day, the M22 have multi-wheelchairs. They have elderly people getting on. The same thing with the Avenue A bus. There's 4 Ds to 1 A, and we need service on the Lower East Side. Mr. Byford, I know in England you had several subway stations done about 3 or 4 years ago, and you did it on time, and you also drained, I think it was a river or a lake, to make sure a train went through that tunnel. You should look into that to help MTA. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Emery Hajdu, followed by Joseph Peters, followed by Trudy Mason.
Hi, thank you. First of all, we can all agree that the MTA needs funding. The Fast Forward plan is going to reshape the transportation in the city and make our lives so much easier commuting to work, to school, and to home. I attended Andy Byford's Fast Forward open house, and I was amazed at what he and the rest of the MTA had been able to accomplish while making this plan. And while a fare hike would definitely help with the funding of Fast Forward, it's possible that we don't need this, and this plan could possibly become reality simply by state and possibly federal funding. But if this cannot be achieved, I would support a fare hike, because I would support anything that would get Fast Forward through. But on the other hand, I would also say that when it comes to people who really who are pinching pennies and just don't hardly have enough money to get by, are struggling to pay the bills, are struggling to pay rent, they're already having trouble paying for everything, and it would be yet another burden on their backs to pay more for the subway, and I just don't think that this should be put on the people's hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph Peters, followed by Trudy Mason, followed by H.B. Schroer.
How you doing? I'm Mr. Peters. I disagree with the fare hike because it don't make no kind of sense right now, because right now the service doesn't require it. Well, I require improvement of the service. No, we need, like, everybody cannot pay the high fare. I see people on the street don't got no money, like myself. I'm not working nowhere, you know. They increase the fare, and people cannot make it. So I feel like right now, like, I heard that they're trying to get plans to get money to improve the service. Now they like the mayor and the governor is talk about some plans. The best thing for them to do is they have to get together to get some plans going, because the L train gonna be shut down next year, and the service gonna be really messed up, and that's gonna be jacked up. You know, and that like right now they are repairing the stations right now. You know, on the 7 line, that the summer train don't go all the way because they're going to modify the signals. That's on the Fast Forward. That's a good job. The whole thing, like I agree with the Fast Forward program for 10 years. The whole thing is like if the money is going to come anyway from the government, it don't make sense to push us to pay for that, because that's not our job. The best thing they do, like, you got to try to get a plan to get money for this Fast Forward. I agree with the Fast Forward program. You know, the system needs to be modified, but the whole thing is right now, like, where the money going to come from for the government. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Trudy Mason, followed by H.B. Schroer, followed by Councilman Yadanis Rodriguez.
Hi, my name is Trudy Mason. I'm appointed to the New York City Transit Riders Council by the Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer. I've got a whole, in my prepared statement, I've got a whole history, but I think all of you know about the PCAC and the TRC, and if not, you should. I am speaking on behalf of the Transit Riders Council. We recognize this fare increase is necessary to keep our system functioning, and the TRC supports, as it has in the past, as long as there are no cuts to service. It is essential that the increase option selected offers the fairest deal for transit's best and most frequent customers, the New Yorkers who ride the subway system and the buses every day. The last few years have been very difficult for transit riders, including me, and I'm going to depart from my prepared statement. On my way over here, I was delayed close to 17 minutes. I took a count, and I have the car number I was in, on the number 6 train, where everybody was unceremoniously dumped on the platform at 68th Street after they figured out that there was a stuck door and it wasn't going to move, and it was backed and forth and then pushed onto another train. So believe me, I not only sympathize but empathize with everybody sitting here. Anyway, we have all started to see some incremental improvements that began under the Subway Action Plan, but we have a long way to go to get consistently reliable service, like I didn't experience today. The Fast Forward Plan, which goes even further, presents an opportunity to make significant improvements to the transit system. Its goals include improved performance, station environment, and accessibility. It focuses on the customer experience, including many more countdown clocks, trip planners, and mapping. This all requires $40 to $50 billion that the MTA just doesn't have. At the same time, it has become clear
If you could
that
please summarize your remarks.
Oh, well, because I did my aside, can you give me 30 seconds more, please?
You can always submit written testimony.
Okay, anyway, let me just end by saying that finding long-term sustainable funding sources is what is achieving President Byford's well-thought-out plan, and we believe that congestion pricing has to be an integral part of the sustainable funding package.
Thank you. Ma'am, we have a number. Ma'am, if you could. Thank you. H.B. Schroer, followed by Councilman Udonis Rodriguez, followed by Shamik Robinson.
Good evening. My name is H.P. Schroer. I'm a 92-year-old veteran from World War II. As many of you on the panel know, I'm not going away. When I travel on the subways, I get a discount because I'm a senior, not because I'm a veteran. I don't know if the public is aware of it, but veterans pay every day, those younger than 65, full fare. We don't think that's fair, and we need help. The mayor of New York City Council decided it was unfair, and they are now funding, effective January the 1st, to give veterans attending college in New York City the same discount as seniors. We think it's up to the board at this time to step up to the plate. The mayor's is the first step, but 95% of veterans will not be eligible. But therefore, you can help because the governor, the big elephant that's not in this room, there are 2 bills in Albany that will provide a discount for all veterans. We ask your support to get the governor to support these bills. And the irony of it, it would cost 2 cents. If dedicated from every fare, it would fund a veteran's discount. I ask the public here, if you think that a veteran service is worth 2 cents, please raise your hand. When are you going to raise yours?
Thank you. Councilman Adonis Rodriguez, followed by Shamik Robinson.
Thank you, everyone, especially the member of the public. You're the one who deserve, a big round of applause for being here, making our voice standing for the voiceless. I'm here standing for the immigrants, the 900,000 New Yorkers with disability, the middle class and the working class who are saying loud and clear, we should not deserve another fare increase. I would like to thank the members of the board, the MTA, for your services. I feel that it is important to recognize what you're trying to do at a moment where this crisis did not happen overnight. I feel that in a city where we have more than 40% of New Yorkers living on poverty, where this city is mainly composed by working class and middle class, our focus should be on real solution, where the MTA should take the leadership, the city and the state should be your partner to identify a different way of how to raise the revenue, and you guys to control the costs and focusing only maintenance and repair and making our station accessible. I feel that today there's great ideas on the table. Congestion price, increasing the contribution to the wealthy New Yorkers. I hope that we can build the support. Hoy yo estoy aquí a nombre de los inmigrantes, los 900 neoyorquinos que están en disability, la clase trabajadora y la clase media que dice no a un aumento en el aumento de la tarifa, que dice busquemos otra solución, concentrémonos en mantenimiento y reparación y busquemos forma que la ciudad y el Estado trabajen juntos para que podamos llevar la MTA al nuevo millennium. I would like to end thanking also the MTA for agreeing to come to a hearing next week at the council, as we will be discussing the fast-moving plan. So thank you, everyone. Hoping that you will be there at our hearing that we will have next week, as we're going to be discussing on details the plan that we support, but the plan that deserves real investments, and for the MTA to control the cost and be more transparent on how we invest money from point A to point Z on maintenance and repair. Thank you.
Thank you. Shamik Robertson, followed by Mary Kessinger.
Good evening. My name is Shamik Robinson, and I'm here with the Writers Alliance, but I live in Harlem, and I'm a working class citizen of New York City. And I'm here tonight to testify against the proposed fare hikes. Thank you. Riders across the city, taxpayers and citizens across the city, we need strong leadership from the MTA board, and more importantly, we need strong leadership from our taxpayer-funded elected officials in Albany to identify dedicated funding for the MTA buses and subways, and not to levy the additional cost on the backs of everyday working class New Yorkers. I don't have a car. I rely on the subway. I rely on the bus to get back and forth, to make daily appointments in my line of work for a nonprofit. It is literally similar to gambling. It is like rolling dice. You do not know what you're going to get when you go to the subways and the buses every single day. You may get there on time. You may get stuck in a tunnel. You may get delayed in a station. You may get a warning. You might not get a notification. Since 2016, subways have derailed. Action plan has been put together. All this additional talk from our elected officials and funding has been established, but the service has gotten worse. And yet you want more money from us. I don't know of any business model where people can charge more money for worse service and get an endorsement from the people. Most of those places, they go bankrupt, they go out of business. Please dedicate funding from the state. Don't put this on everyday New Yorkers like us. Thank you.
Mary Kessinger, followed by Edward Yude.
Thank you. Hello. I came here to say no to the fare increase. I think that what's happening is that you are fighting the wrong battle. You are increasing the fare, and what's going to happen is that you're going to have even less ridership. You say you need more money because the ridership is declining. Well, you increase the fare, it's going to decline even further. It's time for you to stop taking the money out of the working poor. And it's time for you to start looking for other ways to subsidize the subways, such as taxing the employers. Because the subway is the economic engine of the city. It was built for that purpose years ago. It was designed to bring workers to work and to take workers home. And it should continue to do that. I think that if you look at kitchen table economics, what's happening is that my rent was increased this year $53. I'm on a fixed income. I got a substantial raise or a whopping raise from Social Security, $14. So I'm now in a $39 hole per month. To raise the fare would be a hardship. So I think that I think that the MTA board should start developing some backbone and start taxing people that have significant money, like Jeff Bezos from Amazon. He makes $191,000 a second. He could afford the subway himself without missing a meal or a vacation. It's time to start taxing the people that have the money. Thank you.
Edward Yude, followed by Bruce Zimmerman. Edward Yude.
Thank you. My name is Edward Yude. I'm an organizer for the Disability Pride Parade. My father, Louis Yude, was a proud transit worker, a civil engineer who for many years worked on designing and building the subways. Unfortunately, when he was forced to retire, he became disabled. And because 80% or more of the subways aren't accessible, he was not able to use the system that he had helped build. Just before he died, I filled out for him an application for Access-a-Ride, which he was not able to use. My father was alive today. What would he say to the 13 men and 2 women on the stage from the MTA? He would say that the 2 fare hike plans are bigotry, prejudice. Why? Why? Because according to the Daily News, page 2 yesterday, the fare hike for people with disabilities who use Access-a-Ride is higher than for able-bodied people. That's a legal violation of federal law, the Americans with Disability Act. Almost 100 years ago, a man wrote a book of hate. His name was Adolf Hitler. He talked about the big lie. You tell a lie enough times, people will believe it. There's a big lie that there's not enough money for elevators. I invite all 15 people on the stage to go to your computers and Google free mass transit in the world. Many places in the world have subways that are free. Also, why don't you consider ramps and not elevators, which are cheaper? I'm wearing a shirt that says, piss on pity. Why? People with disabilities don't want pity. We want accessibility. We don't want pity. We want accessibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bruce Zimmerman, followed by Valerie Joseph. Andy? Mr. Zimmerman?
My name is Bruce Zimmerman. I ride the M14 bus. The ridership's down 25% because buses never come on time. The M96 Street bus, they sit down on Western Avenue having coffee all the time. And M11 bus, they get stuck in traffic all the time. Something should be done by that. Thank you.
Thank you. Valerie Joseph, followed by Colin Wright.
Good afternoon. My name is Valerie Joseph. I'm the accessoride advocate for Brooklyn Center for the Independence of the Disabled. A fare hike would hit many New Yorkers hard, but it would hit people with disabilities harder. For accessoride riders, one of the MTA, hold on one second, sorry. One of the MTA options would mean an increase in the base fare to $3. This is a 99.1 increase, a higher increase than for other transit riders. That would make it extremely difficult for many people who ride accessoride, who depend on a Social Security check that comes in just once a month. Many people would have their disabilities be hindered and incomes capped, so an increase in the fare would mean a great deal of hardship. We oppose the fare hike, and we especially oppose the increase in the accessoride fare. Finally, my organization has sued the MTA over the poor maintenance of elevators, but the MTA has yet to settle this. The MTA hasn't agreed to settle our lawsuit to expand the number of accessible stations. It must do so before our votes on this fare hike come about. Thank you.
Thank you. Colin Wright, followed by Pedro Valdez Rivera.
Is this on? Hi, I'm Colin Wright with Transit Center. Fare hikes are a necessary evil. However, the service this agency offers to riders must improve if they're to feel like they're getting a fair deal. This is especially true for riders with disabilities who cannot access the vast majority of your subway stations. Governor Cuomo can't continue to shift the MTA's financial burden onto riders. The state must create new and sustainable sources of revenue, and that includes congestion pricing. But I'm here to talk about a different policy called fare capping that you should roll out with the new fare payment system in order to make fares more equitable. Today, the least well-off riders purchase cash, single, or paper ride tickets and often end up paying more after a week or a month than those who can afford the upfront cost of unlimited pass. Where fare capping is done in a growing list of cities, single fares paid by those riders are capped when they reach the cost equivalent of an unlimited pass. Your new payment system is sophisticated enough to count how many times a rider uses transit within specific time spans and stop charging at the cost of a weekly or monthly pass. No need for these folks to cough up the entire cost of a pass at once to benefit from discounts. Now is the time for this board to make decisions on policies like fare capping so the capabilities can be included in the new fare payment system. We face many challenges in our transit network and in society at large. Bleak agency finances, falling ridership, and stiff competition.
To top it off, we face Gilded Age levels of inequality and relentless gentrification that's pushing folks to the periphery of the city. Given all that, why not ask yourselves whether there are opportunities to use your fare policy to make headway on some of these larger issues? Fare capping is a policy that can make transit faster and fairer and more convenient for riders and can make our city more equitable. Thank you.
Pedro Valdez Rivera, followed by Nick Otto.
Good evening. My name is Pedro Valdez Rivera. I'm a member of the Riders Alliance and I'm from Bedford-Stuyvesant in the Nitro building by the JMZ subway station on Murray Avenue, Broadway. I not support any proposal to raise the fare, and here's why. I have a personal story real quick. It will affect my family real hard in our everyday budget. For example, 4 of my siblings, 3 sisters and 1 brother, are have minimum wage jobs, like working class, like middle class basically. Unfortunately, they don't get benefits for pre-tax transit benefits because they don't earn a lot more money, and they don't get fair fares because they don't make much less money. So they also rely on an unlimited Metro card, 7-day or 30-day, and that affects their bottom line. Every single dollar raise could affect the decide whether it's a Metro card or other necessities, whether it's a meal, food, clothing, or other necessities. And finally, on behalf of the Riders Alliance and my family and myself, we want Governor Cuomo and the state legislature to fully accountable by finding reliable source of sustainable funding to fully fund not just the MTA's Fast Forward plan as first architected by Andy Byford, which I have faith with, as well as the rising operating costs. I have faith that they will pull through in the not too distant future. Thank you so much.